So when I was a kid, around age 13, and before that and after that, I was really shy and quiet. And I've been in therapy to try to work out the very many reasons that was the case, but I'm here to tell you all about Bible study. So I won't get into that. And I also didn't grow up in the church, but I grew up in a part of Michigan that was very churched. And so I was often invited to my friends' churches, to VBS and all the things. But it wasn't until I was in 8th grade that I got involved in a church consistently. And the thing that got me involved was a friend who invited me to puppet ministry. And this was the perfect setup for shy, quiet 13-year-old Alaina, because I got to learn Bible stories behind a curtain. And get to know my church friends. And I haven't been involved in the puppet ministry circuit for about 25 years, but in the 90s, this was like legit. We had skits and songs, and we would travel to mega churches for competitions. Like, it was a whole thing. But I always got to be, when I was up in front of people, I was behind a curtain. So then I got to know these friends, and then they started to invite me to Sunday night youth group. And that was fun, but we would always have this time of Bible lesson and discussion and prayer where there was no curtain. And then I started to really fear getting called on during those discussions, whether it was for prayer or for any questions related to our Bible lesson. And I remember one Sunday after getting picked up and brought home thinking, I don't think I said a word tonight, because I would just make myself as small as possible so that I wouldn't get called on. Now, that fear of Bible discussion stayed with me for a long time. The questions of, did I know enough? Did somebody else know something about the Bible story that I wasn't aware of? I had this sense that I didn't grow up in church, so everybody else was like a little bit ahead of me. And so that posture, that anxiety, that hung out in my body. My 13-year-old body, my 23-year-old body, my 33-year-old body, and it's still here in my 43-year-old body. And so when, in those decades that I just described, I've led a lot of Bible studies, I've participated in a lot of Bible studies, and they've been great, but that anxiety would still exist. It would still show up. So fast forward to a couple years ago, 2024, when I graduated from AMBS, and Melinda invited me to be a part of the Orienting with the Word program. And so I got invited to our training, and I had some of those anxieties before the training of, all right, everyone else is going to know everything, and I'm not going to know. And as we engaged in it, I started to experience something that was very, very different. So I fell in love with confessional Bible study. I came home to my congregation where I serve as the pastor, and we started to practice it together. And about a couple months into our practice, we were sitting around in my living room, and one of our community members said, I've noticed that before I come to Bible study, my body gets super tense. And I have to tell myself that this is different. Like, this is going to be a different experience than what I've had before. And then she said, recently I was reading, and there's this quote that stood out to me from priest and scholar Raymond Brown, that said, the scripture is my Father's house in which the children are permitted to play. And I just had this moment where I was like, oh, my body feels tense. This is different. The children are permitted to play. And took a deep breath. And I realized that I was feeling so many of those same things. And that's why I had fallen in love with this method of Bible study. Because we were engaging in some of the things that Joel had described. We were digging into commentaries and looking at the languages, which I love, and looking at all of these really fun things, because I think Bible study is fun too. And then we were spending time doing art and practicing things. And what it allowed for us to do was to ask questions, to be in a space where we could show up as ourselves and allow whatever we brought to the table to be shared in community. Now, we don't meet in my living room anymore. We have switched to meeting at our new worship location that we just moved to in December. And I actually even got an office, which was a big step. After Bible study, I've been inviting folks to take their artwork and hang it on the bulletin board in my office. And when I look at this, I smile because the only thing scarier than being called on in Bible study for 13-year-old Alaina would have been hanging my art in a public location. And now my art hangs in my office where other people are coming and going all the time. But it's hanging up there alongside all of my other community members' art. And they're images of how we've been exploring, wrestling, and orienting ourselves with the Word. And it's such a gift.